Hey folks! It's time for another boomer shooter, and it's very cool. Seriously, just look at this. Dread Templar is developed by Team 19, and it's for the most a one-man project by Xiao Ju, and belongs to the beautiful wake of retro shooters that I hella enjoy. It's dark, violent, dreadful even, and it's a pleasure to play thanks to the good level design, the assortment of weapons, the speed, and the banging soundtrack. The game adds actual a story, which events are explained with interludes shown from time to time in between certain levels, and it's narrated by the unnamed protagonist. It's basically a story of vengeance, of a once boy that after the death of his beloved grandfather at the hands of a powerful demon is given the possibility to become a Dread Templar, a hunter of demons, and gains the ability to exploit his latent dread energy and travel dark realms, so to slay demons until he will find the responsible of his grandfather's demise. Yes, it's pretty simple and direct, and we don't need a better excuse to cause mayhem in hell. I played the game with the hard difficulty and found it enough balanced and quite fair. Rarely I was put in impossible situations. There's also the higher Hell difficulty and Nightmare. And curiously, the Nightmare mode has to be unlocked in the tutorial area, and this reminded me of Quake that presented a similar feature. Nope. Too old for this. So, Dread Templar gameplay is a mix of old and new school. The fast-paced action takes place in pretty intricate levels that are enriched with good verticality, many secrets to find, and well-placed enemies that force to crowd control. The game starts quickly without frills, and we're armed with double pistols that have magazines and katanas, which can be combined and thrown like a javelin, but require to wait for the cooldown to finish before being available again, and the same applies to the dash, which has different uses, like avoid deadly attacks from enemies or take quickly the right distance from dangerous situations. That can be made easier by using also the bullet time, which is recharged by killing the enemies. And besides the combat, the game has also a lot of platforming, and dash is necessary to reach far areas. A major role in Dread Templar is played by the upgrading system based on the collection of silver and gold runes and blood gems. The upgrades are managed at the altars. Here, the blood gems are spent to unlock slots for the protagonist's body and every weapon, and the higher the level, more gems are required. There are 3 levels. The first 2 accept the silver runes that commonly increase stats like inflicted damage, the maximum total ammo carried, and the fire rate, while the gold runes instead are relegated to the third levels and give special abilities that can be very much overpowered. The protagonist can receive less damage or recharge more bullet time, but some weapons like the pistols will cause more damages during the slow-mo, or like the SMG can be assigned to the Inferno versions that inflict much more pain at the cost of much more ammo, and the same applies to the pump shotgun that will freeze and slow enemies for a bit, while the double barrel will shoot a sort of laser blade that pierces through multiple enemies. There's actually a fair amount of variety in the power-ups to choose from, as long as you manage to find them all, because the game has seriously some difficult secret areas to locate, and if you're a sucker like me for the secret hunting, well, be ready to spend up to an hour for every level. I'm not joking. I don't know if this can be considered a flaw, but really, Dread Templar can be very unnerving in the search for secrets that can offer earlier, stronger weapons, huge medpacks and ammo bonuses, and obviously the upgrades. Just like in Prodeus, I felt forced to find everything, because it meant useful power-ups. Dread Templar doesn't just contain symbol niches or special walls. In fact, almost every level contains a super secret that can be accessed by solving small puzzles, such as collecting special objects or interacting with some original elements of the scenery. And often these are homages to classics I love. For example, here I entered a coffin and by interacting inside of it, I recognized a reference to the beginning of Blood. While here, I used this curious key and found myself in a reconstruction of the gauntlet from Doom 2. This is really a game for men of culture, made by a true lover of the genre. It contains the most varied references such as these two beautiful sickles, or this crowbar, and this frozen tooth here. And aside the super secrets, there are also the side areas, which are optional segments that sometimes involve a sort of minigame. Like this ride on a mine wagon, which requires us to destroy the deadly obstacles. Or this climb with rolling boulders that can crush us, that is also a clear reference to a kinda famous arcade game. All side areas compensate with runes and gems at the end of each, and contain also some secrets to find, and I think they are a good addition to the overall quality of the level design. The Dread Templar shooting is pretty good and counts on a good and balanced assortment of weapons that, thanks to the upgrading system, permits to customize a personal style of combat. Now, I'm not a fan of flashy weapon swapping to create fancy combos like, I don't know, Doom Eternal, and make the game look like a first-person Devil May Cry. Let's say I like more the standard approach of using one preferred weapon until the ammo runs out and pass to the next, and the game functions very well in both ways. And between the classic killing tools, there's a trap launcher that stuns enemies for some seconds, and with the upgrades, it becomes a real game changer in numerous situations. Initially I underestimated it, but then I learned how to exploit. The bow is an initial weapon that I didn't use much because of its mechanics. It fires limited arrows that regenerates slowly with cooldowns, and if upgraded, it becomes quite formidable by decreasing the waiting time for the cooldowns or expand the maximum ammo. And as a special ability, it can, for example, cause higher damage by shooting fast consecutive arrows. By the way, my preferred weapon has been this, the Inferno Revolver. The damage output is glorious, though the initial maximum ammo is a bit scarce, but with the right upgrades it becomes a real beast. The gold rune that gives a little chance of killing any demon with a single shot saved me many times. The rocket launcher is a strange case, because at first glimpse it seemed not that powerful, and the self-damage was too much of a nuisance. I didn't use it frequently until I found the gold rune that nullifies the self-damage and creates a cone of icicles upon detonation that hurts all enemies that come into contact with it. Instead, I used much more its counterpart called simply the Tri-Rocket Launcher. This beautiful toy fires 3 mini rockets that don't cause splash damage to the player. It's a sort of surrogate of the shotgun at point blank, and when I found the gold rune that fires homing missiles, it helped me a lot cleaning some rooms by defeating some annoying demons from a safe spot. And yes, I know it's cheap, and who cares? Fuck those assholes. See this gauntlet? It's terrific. The first time I fired it I thought, holy shit, I'm the One-Punch Templar now. The Inferno Gauntlet helps a lot clearing open areas full of enemies and consumes 100 points of energy out of 300 per shot. It's fun and obviously limited in usage, and has a less interesting magenta counterpart available in the last levels that acts like a sort of vacuum. It can be also upgraded, and there's a gold rune that increases the damage to bosses by 3 times. It's ludicrous. Okay, those were the weapons, and they're very good. And the enemies are not bad either. By progressing the campaign, the game offers a good list of demons, increasingly more challenging and powerful. The first tier comprehends these undead with claws and the gunners that can be bothersome. And then these tricky chaps wielding blades, and big ones that launch bombs. Sometimes the gunners shot me through corners and these floors. It's freaking annoying, and the hit detection of some enemies seemed to me a bit arduous to evade and needed a very precise timed dash. These fallen angels here made me imbricate often, because they fire a deadly laser that easily hit me almost every time I didn't take cover quickly. In the next stages I encountered interesting foes, like these apostles that summon low-tier enemies to help, or these icy creatures which generate fog around them to camouflage themselves and attack from the distance launching spikes. I think it's a great idea. What I really hated were these little flying demons. They are not that deadly, but can be difficult to hit, and the ones that fire homing missiles are very hassle. Also, these hellish bugs gave me troubles, cause they launch a fireball with area of effect which hurts quite a bit, and I didn't see it coming plenty of times and died like an idiot. They're even immune to both the big and the mini rockets. Seriously, what the shit? The Giant Knights are deadly because of their energy slashes from a distance, but are quite slow and easy to defeat, and need a killing blow when they fall at their knees before they regain strength. And the sorts of enormous flying priests can cast a barrier that makes them immune to damages for some seconds, and can even resist a gauntlet punch in their face. Also, their energy rays can make surfaces harmful, and therefore it's necessary to avoid stepping on them. I liked Dread Templar enemies. It forced me to prioritize the killing of some before the others, though I found some of them annoying because they were quite difficult to evade, but I wasn't easy to kill either, and well, quite well armed. The bosses instead are fine. They're pretty standard and fought always in dedicated arenas, and they may require some tries in order to learn their attack patterns. There's always a thematic final boss for each chapter, and rarely an extra before between the levels. I like them, though they can be very easy due to some overpowered upgrades. Dread Templar is divided in 5 chapters, and each of them has a thematic setting. The first is quite good, set in these ruins and prisons, and the second follows gradually, but becomes a bit pinkier, while the third has many open areas and icy environments. Then my interest began to wane at the beginning of the 4th chapter. I didn't like these desert places at all, until I ended up in a cave full of lava and subsequent more infernal scenarios. There the game became again charming. The 5th and final chapter is decidedly shorter than the others, and it's a mix of places already visited but in a darker, almost corrupted context, a sign of the great final battle to come. It's not recycling that I disliked, I kinda enjoyed it, and I'll tell you another thing. As long as I made it last, I was fine with the fact that this final part lasted less than the previous ones. Graphically speaking, the game is very well made in its retro style. There's a good mix of low poly models and 2D sprites, and the sceneries are quite detailed. I think there's little to complain about, and even some enemies that seem just a rescue of others have actually different attacks. And the soundtrack is often amazing. John S. Weekly is a great composer and many of his tracks are a banger. Though, sometimes when I wasn't fighting and just searching for secrets, I would have preferred the track to change to a calmer version, more in line with the simple exploration. In short, something dynamic like in some other games. Also, the sound effects I think are very well made too, and I wasn't bothered by anything that might sound out of place or annoying. I would dedicate some final words about the saving system. The game comprehends autosaves at specific points of levels, and save crystals that can be abused. I can't quick save, but nothing stops me to kill some enemies and run back to the save point and save scum cheaply. And by the way, by accessing the save menu, the game doesn't freeze and enemies can still fuck me up and ruin my attempt. To conclude, Dread Templar is a great addition to the recent classic FPS renaissance, although it seems more in line with the style of New Doom rather than Dusk, Medieval and the others. I would just criticize small things, like that some enemies gave me troubles because their hit detection seemed to me a bit unfair. Also, I encountered some bugs like the level stats which got reset when I loaded the game, even though I effectively found those secrets and runes, but it's very rare. If you like hardcore FPSs with cool retro-style visuals and slaying demons brutally, just play it without a doubt. And if you like secret hunting like me, prepare yourself for an experience of over 20 hours that otherwise would last for just about 8 or 10 at most. The super secrets for me were very fun to uncover, and I suggest you to look carefully for just 4 missing Tom pages scattered throughout the game. They will be useful to unlock something very special, but are very difficult to find. As always, a warm thanks to all viewers, and see you in the next entry.